Hey everyone, this is Francesco Abbruzzino, and today I am coming to you with my Rogue Rant about the Islamic State. Their demise. Is it really a demise? Or is it being greatly exaggerated by the woefully ignorant that refuse to accept what is really happening out there? Since the attack out in Orlando at the Pulse, which leftists scrambled to blame on guns and homophobia rather than radical Islamic fundamentalism, the Islamic State has admitted to or inspired a series of attacks around the world. While I was in Italy, 3 attacks in Saudi Arabia, the nation whose government is completely illegitimate in the eyes of the Islamic State. We're meant to demonstrate the terrorist organization's reach. But I do have to tell you, didn't Saudi Arabia basically support them financially? These attacks in Saudi Arabia, they followed the carnage that took place in Turkey the day before I left for Italy. Or in Iraq, while in Italy, where 250 people died. How about the major attack in Bangladesh, where a hostage situation ended with the death of 20 people? Many of them were hacked to death because of their inability to recite passages from the Quran, the religion of peace. The one good thing that might come out of this attack in Bangladesh is that the government there can no longer ignore the threat posed by radical fundamental Islamic extremism. Bangladesh is one of the most populous countries out there in the world, and they've refused to acknowledge the danger of the Islamic State and their recruiting that it has been poised to their nation. Does this sound familiar? Does it sound a little bit like our country? It is virtually assured that Barack Obama will not open his eyes to the dangers that ISIL poses to us. He's far too invested in that narrative that the left-leaning media has been pushing, that we decimated our terrorist enemies. Obama has long, virtually an unbroken track record of playing down and ignoring the threat that is posed to us by Islamic terrorism in our country. Yet we're seeing the terrorist attacks happen. They're happening on our soil with increased frequency. You're also seeing stuff like what happened in Idaho, where many of the left-wing media would refuse to report on it, and they're still not reporting on it. Even left-leaning Snopes was out there trying to say, oh, it's all wrong. Lo and behold, the truth finally came out. Obama bears responsibility for metastasizing the threat in large part because of the disastrous withdrawal in Iraq, which essentially created this group. For the sake of political expediency and the selfish goal of protecting his own legacy and history, Obama would have us believe that the don't call it Islamic State poses no real threat. We'll just ignore them. We won't blame Islam. We'll blame guns. We'll blame homophobia. And it'll just disappear. But the recent attacks disapprove the contention that ISIS, ISIL, IS, Daesh, the JV team, is contained in the Middle East. And that it's in its death throes. As I reported today, they're telling people, stay where you're at. We're being decimated. You know the narrative that the left media have wistfully pushed. And the recent ISIL terror attacks only prove that the U.S.-led campaign in Iraq and Syria, U.S.-led campaign. Can we really call it that, though? I don't know. Well, the campaign is not having the desired effect of reducing the terrorist organization's power and reach. It's also a reminder that the Islamic State's reach is global, and it's not going away unless we deal with it head on. This may not happen until Obama and his team of experts recognize them. They call the attacks what they truly are: radical Islamic extremism. What say you? This has been Francesco Abbruzzino with the Rogue Rant.